Let's take a look at some definite integrals of an unknown function. At the top of the screen, I have what my unknown function would integrate to equal if I were to use these certain boundary numbers. And keep in mind that my function is the same for all of these. It's just an unknown function. We don't know what that is. Our goal is to try to find what the integration of the function would be of different values. So the way I'm going to look at this, I'm going to view my boundary numbers and place those on a number line. Now this isn't a true number line, so the spacing doesn't matter. I just want to list all my boundary numbers from least to greatest. The next thing I'm going to do is between my boundary numbers, I'm going to place the values of what that function would integrate to equal. Between my -6 and 3, the integration would equal 12. Between -1 and 3, my integration would be 2. Between 7 and 10, it integrates to equal 1. And then the last one, between -6 and +7, that integration equals 18. Now that I have this number line set up, I can use segment addition. If I want to know the value between the boundary of -6 to -1, I'm going to focus on 12 and the 2. That means between -6 and -1, my integration should evaluate to equal 10, because 10 plus 2 equals the 12. And I am missing a value between 3 and 7. Between 3 and 7, I'm going to focus on the 18, and I'm going to focus on the 12. So 12 plus something should equal 18. That means between 3 and 7, the integration would equal 6. Now I can go down below and try to find my values. So if I'm integrating this unknown function between -6 and 10, I would be looking at 18 plus 1 more. So that should equal 19. The next one, between 3 and 7, we already found that. That one equals 6. Between -1 and 7, it's made up of these two pieces, the 2 and the 6. So the sum of that would be 8. Now my next example, it says to integrate it between 3 and -1. My answer doesn't equal 2. Something that's a little bit different about this one. My boundaries are not listed from least to greatest. If those are reversed, that means find the opposite between -1 and 3. So since -1 to 3 has a value of 2, its opposite would be -2. So you do have to be aware of your boundary numbers. If the lower boundary is greater than the larger one, you want the opposite. Which means in my last example, I already found that from 3 to 7 is 6. So this one I would want the opposite. We're going to take a look at another example. It's another unknown function. Once again, I'm going to set this up as though it were a number line. So I want to put my values in from least to greatest. The spacing doesn't matter because it's not a true number line. Okay, now that I have my boundaries least to greatest, I'm going to go back and put in the values of their integration. So between -2 and 5, that equals 5. 0 to 5, that should equal 3. So before I put the other ones in, Now we should be able to find between negative 2 and 0. That has a value of 2, because 2 plus 3 would equal 5. My next one, between 6 and 10, is 4. Between 6 and 11, this one should be 9. So let's go ahead and fill in between 10 and 11. That should have a value of 5, so that 4 plus 5 equals the 9. And then my last one, between 5 and 6, is a negative 8. Now to integrate with each one, between negative 2 and 0, I found that, and that's a positive 2. Between 0 and 10, I'm just going to look at the individual pieces between 0 and 10. So I would want to add those pieces together, and it doesn't matter that I have a negative value. I still want to add those together. So 3 plus the negative 8 plus 4 would be negative 1. My next one is between 10 and 11, which I already found. And then the last example, 11 to 10. My lower boundary is greater than my upper boundary, so I want the opposite. So this last one should equal negative 5. Now I'm going to let you try out the same thing and see if you can find the definite integrals for the bottom 3 samples. You can press pause. When you're ready to see the solutions, just hit play. And something I want to mention in the first one for its solution, the answer was negative 3. Between negative 2 and 6, I'm just going to focus on these 3 pieces. So I have 2 plus 3 more is 5 plus the negative 8, that equaled negative 3.